Hi, welcome back. So we're at the second outline of Section 3, Research Technical Implementation. That's in Chapter 5, Framework and Research Design. In this outline, we're going to discuss ground on hypotheses. So let's go ahead and review the following visual presentation. In a previous section, we have discussed this graphical presentation on the statement that there are teaching methods, formal, casual, and free, and we wanted to put them on a test on their relation to the student's performance in terms of good score or a practical application. And we have seen how we actually constructed this graphic representation as conceptual and theoretical framework. The actual idea of hypotheses, after you form your research question, you must come up with a claim. So let me show you what does claim mean. Claim actually is just a derivative of the research question. And the claim that I would like to make, it goes as follows. Teaching method has an effect on students' performance. Now this claim has two possible outcomes. It could be true, it could be false. Now what shall we do? That's the purpose of research. Now how the life cycle would look like to reach either to this conclusion or to this conclusion. The idea start, as we said, this is my claim. The next step I would do is to construct it as a hypothesis. Later we will discuss this in further details, but for now we will call it the null hypothesis. So every claim is the actual meaning of a null hypothesis, or the H0 in simple presentation. Next thing I do is to define my variables, which I did. After so, of course, I have to find a way to measure my variables. What do I need next is to collect my data. Of course, after that, I need to process the data. After the process, that's logic to analyze the data. Based on your analysis, you have to come on conclusion. And of course, from your conclusion, you can make final result. So you saw this line of movement, some sort of a circle, which I call it the circle of fact for research to be conducted from the actual scratch, and that's from my claim all the way up to the end of results. Now what can I do about this result? This result will actually show me which of those outcome to be actually true or not. Now I don't want really to use the vocabulary as false, which I have used up there. In the field of research, this isn't an accurate word. We don't prove false, but we can prove it isn't true. So based on this result, I should come up to this statement or this statement. The first statement, if it is true, watch carefully what do we write. We don't have enough evidence to reject the null hypothesis, which is as we had defined here. It's my claim. So for time being, we would assume that is true, but that doesn't mean because it is true, but because we don't have enough evidence to prove otherwise. Well, let's assume the second case that is not true. Watch the statement how it would look like. We would say we do have enough evidence to reject the null hypothesis. So the evidence we have collected in this research can prove that teaching method doesn't have any effect on a student performance. So what is the beauty of this? The level of transparency, that there is no absolute true, no absolute not true. According to the time, according to the research setup, according to the data, that we could reach out to the conclusion to be objective, to justify a research statement. And this beautiful diagram that shows you the life cycle from the claim to the hypothesis, to the definition of variables, to the measurement, to the collection of data, to the process, analysis, conclusion, and final result. This meticulous steps will lead us to come to conclusion to prove the statement of the claim of that research to be rejected or to fail the rejection. So I hope this graphical illustration, it shows you the power of hypotheses. And that's why this life cycle is quite crucial and important for you to understand the ground of hypothesis. So when you start on your research, after you form the general question and you form the formal question, you must take side of the claim. It doesn't matter, and you shouldn't be biased toward the claim. But everything to us is a kind of a claim, and our job is to go through these meticulous steps until the final end to show the result, whether to reject or to fail to reject that claim. So I hope this quick illustration on ground hypothesis giving you an opportunity to observe the power of research design. That's where we have reached to the next and the last outline of this section, and that's to discuss research design. I will see you then.